Bottom right, keeping his opponent off match point is going to be our red Terran player, Cure. As we have in the top left, our blue Zerg, it is Dark. Alright, so game number 6 as we get this underway, an Overlord of Dark moving out. I'm just going to be seeing, well, very standard SCV production at the moment here from Cure as we get this underway. So nothing too out of the ordinary just yet, I would say. Obviously, just waiting for this to get a little bit better set up in its entirety. Hatchery first from Dark, though, so he's moved away from that gas pool, which he's now done a couple of games in a row. So just going back into something which could be arguably a little bit more regular, a little bit more standard. Hatchery on the natural. As the Overlord moves around, Ovi of Dark down the bottom side. Again, not really super active about scouting for proxy racks on this map. He's been a little bit more passive. He actually maybe just says there's too many places to scout and a large map to fly my Overlord across, so he's just going to bring the Overlord here and watch for an SCV that might come through to try and build up a bunker or anything, right? So it's one of the options you have in terms of trying to figure out what's going on in this case. SCV going to the top left-hand side. Hatch gas pool coming up. And the command center on the natural continue to build as well. Reactor on that barracks. Yeah, honestly, not a lot I want to tell you guys about right here in this game. It's very slow going. Very standard. Overlord's going to get picked off by these Marines. That's actually a surprise. Yes, that's the difference, right? So that's the one thing I should be talking to you guys about. This wasn't a Reaper opening. This was a double Marine opening, in fact. So a double Marine opening means that you actually have these Marines early, and it's caught Dark off guard. Being able to kill off one of the Overlords already is obviously a pretty big deal, so that's a big positive. And there's a couple of Queens going to be finishing up here. These Lings have just finished off these low-ground rocks. So yeah, that's a nice little start from Q. Look at this supply block from Dark, only just now getting out of it, so that does slow things down a pretty significant amount. Ooh, didn't even notice this. A second racks from Q, so he's actually going to 2-on-1. Wow, this build in general is kind of fun. Just because it was Marines without a Reaper, and then he's going to go into this one as well. As you just see our factory about to finish up from Q, so getting that completed. There's the two Marines out down to the center of the map, moving toward the middle here. This Overlord out the front of the third base, and just going to be seeing our creep tumors. Going to be finishing. Lings patrolling that main. There's a Roach Roaring from Dark, so it's an early Roach Roaring again. Obviously not as early as in the previous games. This is more so looking to be like a 10 Roach plus the big kind of... Well, there's actually no Ling speed, so I guess not a Ling Flood follow-up. So it's going to just be like 10 to 12 Roaches. A lot of units to move through and to come straight toward the front of this, basically. Stim pack on the way from Kira, of course. I mean, this is honestly a really good setup for Kira. Oh, is he going to go onto the reactor? So he's going to build Hellions? Well, obviously, I don't like that quite as much because we really are in a position where I think realistically, well, you don't really need the Hellions, guys. Like, against what Dark is doing. I mean, the idea here is to go for like a Hellbat 2-on-1 all-in attack. This is really committed on two bases. You're hoping for a lot of damage. Now the Roaches of Dark might just be fantastic. He's building drones. I mean, it depends where the Roaches are, but it looks like he's just built a few defensively. Wow. So Dark just wants to play defensive Roaches, and it's honestly kind of perfect against someone who's going to make Hellbats and a ton of Marines. That's kind of wild. I actually find that it's honestly kind of an odd choice of build from Dark in the first place. I mean, still building a few more Roaches, a couple of Ravages, but yeah, it's going to shut this down. I wonder if he just saw the Marine opener and he just kind of knows Kira likes doing this almost, and so he made the decision to go for it. I could absolutely see that being a possibility, as the few roaches and the Ravager showing up, and so the drop won't do much. Of course, this is about more than the drop. This is about the follow-up, which is going to be that Hellbat attack. But yeah, I mean, even with the Hellbats, I don't see you pushing through the Roach Ravager, and maybe we see Kira taking a different approach to this as well. I mean, he's still on 2 bases, though. He's still just cranking out units, so wow, he's even going to pull SCVs. I do kind of like the pull of the SCVs, because against Roach Ravager, pulling SCVs is actually really, really cool. Because SCVs is obviously something that really can just take a lot of shots away from Roach Ravager and allow the Marines to get into that overwhelming sort of number. So I kind of like the way that Q is approaching this, the idea that he's got. He's just going to run straight through the creep spread, of course. I mean, there's no reason to slow down here. You want to go, go, go. You want to go for the kill. Absolutely no doubt about it. As we move in, a couple of Overlords already starting to take some hefty damage. And now he simmers forward. Again, you want to get those SCVs in front, try and tank it, but he's going to eat a corrosive bile. As there's a lot of Queens here with this Roach Ravager to help the defense out. Oh, a couple of Roaches are running into a lot of problems here. There's a couple of Overlords getting targeted down. Supply block for Dark. I mean, he's going to be out of the supply block as a few units trade out, so it's not a big issue. 10, 11 SCVs down in this fight so far. Marines and Hellbats showing up and just going to be picking through a bunch of these Roaches. The Queens, the Ravagers all continuing to drop down dead. It's just not really enough, I don't think. Army supply is down from here. I mean, I know he's playing against Roaches, but Roaches are really good in these sort of numbers. Roaches are really good at overwhelming when you're at this sort of stage. And that's kind of the issue, right? There's one more missile upgrades trying to come up here. So he will get into upgrades as well. Dark and Q has no follow-up to this, right? There's no third CC. Yeah, he's got stimming combat shields, but there's no engineering bays ready to go either. There are a lot of downsides right now to where this army is at. That is for absolute sure. And I think Q is actually just in trouble. I think Dark realistically has a setup to win this game. If he just goes off 3 base Roach Ravager, I think that push could end it when he hits 1-1 in Roach speed. I guess one of the questions there is, how much do you want to do? Do you really want to commit into that? And that Roach speed coming up, the 1-1 coming in, the concussive shells on that tech lab, and just going to be seeing the bio army trying to join up. I mean, from Q's point of view, what do you do? Well, it's a Roach Ravager comp, so you've kind of got to drop. You know, you absolutely need to drop. You absolutely need to drop, because otherwise you're just fighting a Roach Ravager army. The Roach Ravager weakness is its mobility, its ability to be in, you know, good positions and so on. So dropping is pretty much just a go-to right now, I think. That's just a guarantee, and there is the few Hellions running by. That wasn't an issue I was expecting. Dropping or hitting in multiple places, right? Both those ideas are going to be pretty good here as Marines are going to move through. Bunch of creep spread is going down. To start this off at least, is just going to be seeing a lot of creep teamers being picked away at. And not a bad start at all from Q, who continues up the right side of this. He's going to come dropping around and just going to be seeing... Well, I mean, like I said, you got to drop. I mean, I know I'm hopping on a little bit, but you got to drop, do something. He's going to 5 racks behind this, so he's going to try and... Maybe the plan is just to kind of hold this all in and then to go for the second round, right? I think that's a fairly realistic way that this could turn out, where you just hold this first attack and then you go into the next step of it. And just hope that you can, you know, maybe Dark overcommits in, and then you can overwhelm on the counterattack for sure. I would imagine that's one of the ways to perhaps win this out. Perhaps win this out. A lot of Ravagers morphing in, coming down the bottom side. Going to be moving straight through into this natural expansion. Tanks are unsieged. Well, that's not a good start from Kira. I mean, these Marines, these medevacs need to be hitting right now. These tanks need to be set up defensively. These medevacs need to be striking counterattack damage. And obviously, currently, that is not the case, as we're going to be seeing our bio unloading. Well, these Roaches already taking some shots here. I mean, this is nice, like I say, dropping around the map. This is the way Q's going to do it if he will, but... Well, that Dark's actually turning back around. Yeah, I mean, it is just 2 bases of Q, I guess. Do you really have a need to keep on pushing in? Not really. No, I don't think you do. I think you actually do just need to defend, really. Dark has no reason to kind of press the issue into a 2-base all-in Terran player. That is for sure, as we just have our few units over here. Bio dropping off, a few of these Roaches still going down. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, now Kyo's drops are kind of running out of steam, so at what point does he decide to move out onto the map? Remember, it's only 2 bases, so at some point he knows he's got to go, but he's actually, now he feels like he barely has any bio, because he's kind of traded out as in the way that he has. And again, I don't disagree with that decision, it's just he's behind. I'm trying to make it sound as though he's got some chances, as though he's got a way back in this, and sadly, my friends, he just might not. Let's see, Roach Ravager coming down the right is going to be moving through. Couple tanks going down, corrosive files all over the place. And so we are just going to be seeing this Roach Ravager continuing into perhaps put an end to this game. I mean, again, it's tough, and Kyo will once again backstab with this drop. Again, definitely expecting this to do maybe okay, but then do you really hold on at home? There's only a couple tanks left, and you know what? They're stacked up, double barrel, triple barrel, straight in between them, and they are gone. One new tank pops out, and that, of course, just does not make the difference here, as Dark is going to go up to a 4-2 lead. He will take this onto match point, and maybe, just maybe, he can actually draw this out to a 5-2 win. He's looking good right now. Kira is going to type out GG. I mean, there's just no way you're continuing to survive in this. And Dog is perhaps looking good to just close this series out. He definitely feels like he's got Kira's numbers, you know, quite frequently here. It feels like he's always putting himself in strong positions. I mean, this was just a huge build order win as well. I mean, I don't know what Doc sort of figured it out, but it was a perfect read. It was a perfect setup, whether it was intentional or not. And that just put him into a leading position from the very get-go. So Kira trying something fancy did not work out. We'll have to see if he can maybe make a fix to that going into a game number 7. And he is going to be down with 3 match points from Doc. We dive on into Golden Wall. In the bottom right-hand side, our red Terran player it is going to be Cure, and he's got SCV. He's moving out onto the map. So a couple of SCVs moving out. We do in the bottom left see our blue Zerg Dark. He is on Dragon Phoenix Gaming as well. I always got to say, you know what? It really is effective having DPG in your team name. It makes me say your team name all the time. So if you ever have a team, guys, make sure your players have their team name in their name, because it actually really does make casters say it so much more frequently in StarCraft. Hashtag caster advice. Alright, well, Dark goes hatchery first. That's a good sign from Cure, as he proxies it up into the center. And we're just going to be seeing this Overlord. He's going to be coming through and looking for what is going to happen here in a moment. There we go. He's going to see the proxy wreck. So Dark kind of knows what's up early. As you see, the Overlord is going to have that info. Kua doesn't know he's being seen, so obviously he's playing a bit blind to this, and Dark will send the drones out. So Dark looking to send the drones now. It's not as fast as what we've seen from him previously. In that earlier game where he tried to deny. Was that an Everdream way back when? In this series, I think it was. There's like, drones. I mean, that's a nice little position. Q's got really good spots, so it minimizes how often these drones can be hit. That's a lot of drones. Oh, how often these SCVs can be hit. That's a lot of drones that have pulled out, though. I mean, you can look at this as obviously a lot of lost mine time from Dark, but there's 0 progress being made at the front, right? He's buying so much time for the pool, etc. to come up. Yeah, and look at this. He's actually continuing to chase. One Marine is so far away, it's not even going to get reinforced. Now the Marine goes down. The next one's in trouble. And is this how this series ends? Is this how it goes? I'm very sad if it is. Drone's still kind of chasing the Marine being hunted. Good, ... He's actually making Reapers, though. Okay. Well, the Reapers are kind of a cute follow-up here. Instead of just continuing into Marines, it's definitely one way to maybe make things work, is Kira gets a couple of drones to start here. Reaper continuing across. Drones pushed into the natural expansion. Let's see the couple of lings popping out as well. And the command center is building in the main base. Just going to be seeing our Reapers continuing through. So drones taking some damage for the moment, as lings will be continuing in to chase those Reapers down. So Reapers taking a bunch of damage. Queen from Dark is able to push those Reapers back out the front as this Rax loads up. 3 Reapers joining up together. And they're going to come straight through and start to hunt down some of these drones here. So drones taking a bunch of damage right now. 2 drones going down. Reapers hop into the main. I mean, this is actually going to be difficult to deal with. Because Dark pulled so many drones early, never mind gas. So he's on slow lings. The thing is, when you deal with, like, multiple Reapers, usually you have, like, ling speed or something eventually coming up, or roaches. I guess this is only a couple of Reapers, but he's killed 7 drones. I mean, that's not really a bad start at all as he goes into 3 CC behind it. My god, and these Reapers are still going, well, nice pull on the drones. 10 drones dead, though, and Q actually finds way more damage than I feel he would have found if the 2 racks was successful. That Reaper switch actually absolutely was a really good counter to the fact that Dark gave up so much mining pulling those workers. Wow. That's kind of crazy. As our Rotoron builds here in the back of this main base from Dark. So gets that Rotoron started up, and it looks like he'll just go into an all-in follow-up. He doesn't even have gas yet, so how many roaches is he realistically going to get? He is taking double gas. It is against 3cc. I don't really disagree with the idea. Obviously, the racks haven't been home for a while. Factory's building a reactor, so I can see this going very badly wrong. As you see a Marine already coming in. This Overlord taking a bit of damage. The starport is about to complete, and I guess if the starport does the right thing, if the starport goes to the tech lab, it does go to the tech lab. If he builds Cloaked Banshees, this might just be a victory for Cure. He's up 8 workers. Dark's going to build roaches. It's a long map to come across as well. Plenty of time for this Banshee to come out, although also plenty of time for this Banshee to fly across the map and to get out of position, which could be on its own kind of problem, its own kind of issue here. Orbital is going to fly over to the natural expansion. 2 Hellions out into the middle already. Pushing around a little bit. Some slowlings on the counter attack. I mean, that's kind of cute, and it's going to pull these Hellions back. I mean, now the Roach Ravage is going to show up. Well, the thing is, it's almost brought the Banshee to the front here anyway. Roaches are going to be caught by the Banshee, and oh, this turned from absolute beautiful play from Dark to defending against the 2 racks to absolute disaster play against the Reapers. This all-in is not going to work in the slightest. Hero knows there's more units. Always missed them, though. He feels it, though. He knows they've got to be somewhere. One Roach doesn't just show up without the rest. The thing is, this is actually just so many Ravages. I actually think the Hellions are going to be doing pretty okay at just helping with damage against the Ravages. Obviously, it would be nice to keep the Hellions alive just to help with the Lings, too. But even the Lings are slow Lings. So what are they really going to get done here? Absolutely nothing. Kira is going to fight back in this series from the brink of defeat. He's going to turn it around. And Kira is going to take us to at least one more map in this best of 9. We are not done just yet. At least one more map to go, as we'll get this going in a moment. Bottom left-hand side, our Red Terran player from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is Kira. And the top right side, we've got ourselves the Blue Zerg Dark. Game number 8 of this series. Let's see what will happen next. Dark still on match point, of course. Still has this in hand. We go into Everdream, so I was just about to explain this. Obviously, this is a best of 9. There's only 7 maps in the standard ladder map pool. So they obviously replay a couple of maps, and Everdream is the first one. Now, on this map earlier, Kira tried a proxy racks, and Dark found it pretty earlier on. So, as we repeat this time, we'll already see that difference from Kira being his racks is in the main base, so sets up over there. I was just going to see our gas coming up in this main, so gas on the way. Overlord from Dark on the way down the center. A little bit of setting up to be done, of course. So a little bit of building up right now. A little bit of getting going. Otherwise, looking pretty good. See a extractor. So hatch gas. Soon to be a spawning pool on the way. No real surprises just yet on Everdream. As Dark's Overlord continues down across to the bottom left-hand side. So moving through here to come and check in on things. Here finishes up the racks. Reaper is on the way. And this SCV already moving out to the upper right-hand side. So away we go into Game 8. Cure. Can he keep this series alive is the real question. Can he keep this series alive? It's a tough one. Reaper is just about halfway done, as we do have the SCV coming. I wonder if Dark is going to get hatchery blocked on the third here. I wonder if Kyo wants to use this SCV for that. I mean, he has SCV Scout a lot, Kyo, and I don't think he will, because there is an alternative on Everdream. Yeah, he's just going to back away. He just wanted to make sure it wasn't a pool first, because of course we've seen Dark going for so many pool firsts. The safe SCV Scout definitely makes a lot of sense. That's for sure, as this Reaper continues up into the natural. Couple of lings moving around. Now those queens on the way out, as that's a grenade. Drone popped up in the sky, and yeah, those lings getting chased for sure. Just gonna get one of them. I mean, queen not out yet, and yeah, this Reaper kind of deep dives, but it's gonna get into the main. I mean, sees the gas is still there. Maybe could have clicked it, but not much info to be gathered. It's pretty standard. Gets the creep tumor kill. That's a big thing, though. That's a really nice catch as that creep tumor gets killed off already. And a third hatchery down the right side is coming up to being about halfway done. Circling speed of Dark in the main base. Once again, this Reaper just tipping and tapping away at our hatchery. So hatchery taking a whole bunch of damage for the moment. As we will see, the starport is setting up in the main base. The starport coming through. That third CC is setting up. A couple of Hellions on the way out. There's a few more drones still coming into play as well. As queens come to the front, this Reaper gets turned around and pushed away. Lian's moving around. Banshee on the way up, about halfway done. Cloak is going to get started, and just going to see this Marine is going to come through and get a damage onto the Overlord here as the Reaper and a couple of Hellions turning back away. Cloak Banshee's the choice. I don't blame you for going Cloak Banshee's. Dark has been so cheeky in this series, trying to get aggressive a lot of times over. Definitely feels like the value of the Cloak Banshees is pretty high for sure. Reaper and Hellions in the upper right then. There's that queen on the third. Just going to see a little bit of a tip and a tap onto the two queens in the front. Evo Chambers already building. And this orbital command is going to move into the third base location as well. So gets that orbital in the position. 10 more drones. There's a couple of Evos coming through. And the extra couple of racks from Cure in the main base as well. A couple of Marines out to the front. Still just seeing the Reaper and the few Hellions moving around to see what else is going to be going on. The Hellions picking off a Zerglin already. And melee upgrades coming through, so obviously it's kind of nice time to go Cloak Banshees as well. Dark has gone melee upgrades early a lot. One of the reasons we saw Cloak Banshees take a bit of an exit from the meta in TVZ again and not be used kind of very frequently was because of the faster lair builds, which obviously go into the Spire and the Muta shut it down, but even just the Overseer really takes away a lot of options as to where these Banshees can pick up damage, you know? As these two Cloak Banshees move forward, just going to be seeing a couple of creep tumors continue to spread out. The Hellions in the center, and yeah, Banshees are going to get into the main, and that Spore is very out of position, so there's absolutely going to be some drone kills here. Goes for the Queen initially, don't mind that as the Spore relocates. Queen is always a nice pick-off and takes off some of the, you know, extremity anti-air that you might have, so anti-air that can hit a distance from the Spore Crawler. Now the Natural in some trouble. Oh dear. This is very problematic as 9-10 drones going down, and Dark is just taking unprecedented damage to the Banshees. 13 workers killed, one Banshee goes down, but the other will sit in the corner and maybe find a couple more later in the game. That's already 13 drones that you shouldn't really be losing as Dark. And that's just one of those, I don't even know if really this was going to be something that would have been saved by having like an Overseer. This felt like it was just lack of information for Dark about Cloak Banshees in the slightest. Wasn't expecting it. Completely out of position with all of his queens. Spores weren't ready. He was really not ready for, especially the direction they came in for, that's for sure. I mean, it's just straight through in between kind of the main and the natural. There was zero defenses there. But Dark has a 4th base coming up, and he will have access to a rich Vespian gas. Maybe that can help him make up some of the workers, just because it'll take less workers to get a higher gas income for a little while. Faster melee upgrades don't feel that great when you consider the fact that Baneling Nest isn't done, so Bane Speed won't be ready for that first Terran push. And this Marine tank army is probably going to be darn scary. These Hellions still alive too. That's only going to add to the fact that right now there's no Banelings on the map, so Pure Lings defensively are actually really not hot at the moment. Let's see what they can do as they run in. I mean, is a surround on Kira's army. The Hellions will continue to fight. The Marines actually ran out of stim and didn't go back into another stim. Lifts up and has to back away here, but of course he'll only be making the stronger army here given time. Actually saved a lot of Hellions, so they're still around for some splash damages. Dark hits a supply block, and quite a big one too. 110 over 110. He's actually only just started an Overlord, so it's a while he's going to be supply blocked for, and it's just as Kira brings another army across the map. That Overseer chasing down those medevacs is actually way more costly than it might have originally seemed. Originally, I think you look at that and you're like, ah, that's okay. Now? Well, now that's definitely a bit more of an issue. That is for sure. Marines, Hellbats, and tanks still coming into the center. Creep team is going down. A couple of queens setting up as we will have this push from Kira continuing forward. Extra Banelings from Dark setting up as well. The right side Marines and a Hellbat coming through. This hatchery taking a lot of damage. Gonna see some Lings counter-attacking through the center. These queens gonna get picked off. The Lings and the Banes coming through. Banelings continue to kind of force this away. A lot of these Marines still being picked away at. That's not enough, right? Dark just... I mean, the Banshees were the start of tipping the scales, and from there the scales have only tipped further. I mean, Dark just has nothing. This is the sort of attack as well, though, that you just don't hold off if you have a bad start to the game, right? If you lose 13 drones initially, the follow-up is not going to end, you know, the follow-up's not meant to go well for you. Hey, Kira really is going to bring this to a game 9, isn't he? When someone said it was a long series, I did not actually expect all 9 games. I thought Dark was going to take it maybe like 5-2-ish, 5-3-ish. It was already long at that point, but yeah. This has been a long one, huh? As we're going to see Kira coming straight through. Marines picking off all those Banes. The Lings are in trouble. I mean, this just... I feel like this happened a few times this series where it's just like one player's about to win. We're just waiting for the other guy to give it up. Use that last few units. He's trying to get Mutas out of all things. I mean, if he can somehow turn this around with Mutalist, then he really is deserving of being a BlizzCon champ. It's kind of deserving of being a BlizzCon champ anyways. Even a BlizzCon champ can't bring this one back from the jaws of defeat. Mutas and Lings and Banes and whatever else Dark and Fine will run in to try one more time to clean this up, but the Marines stand strong. There's tanks to support it, and Kira will take us through to a game number 9 in this best of 9. What a series! And we are going to be going into a 9th and final game in just a few moments. Whoop, 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 let's go! Kira Dark, going the distance. Can you believe we've gotten all the way to map number 9? It wasn't really looking likely at a point. Dark was just looking dominant, but Kira has really... Whoops, that was a mistake. But Kira has pulled it back to a 4-4 scoreline. Going the distance. We're back on Ice and Chrome. Dark is in the bottom left, our blue Zerg. As we get this up and running, ready to go. We will see what happens in just a few moments' time for our final map of this series. Thank you for joining us for this best of 9, whether you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube. Thanks for the love. Hit them follow, like, and sub buttons. You guys know all the things you can do to help. As this rack's dropping down in the front, gas on the way. I'm still just seeing the Overlord of Dark moving forward. So no proxy, no pool first. I mean, Ice and Chrome was one of the longer games we've had in this series. It's probably the longest, right? And we actually started with a... I think we actually started with this series too, right? Like, or with this map, right? We're in map 9 now. We're replaying some of the maps. We actually started with this one. Kira played Bio on it earlier. Does he play Mech this time around? I could see it. Like, I don't think it's like a, oh my god, he's got to play Mech here or something, but like... I can imagine him playing some Mech. like I say, I mean, he's not played mech the entire series. Maybe he just feels like mech ain't good against Dark. But, I don't know, maybe like a BC build or something. Dark's been very kind of particular about going for a lot of like melee upgrade openers too, right? So it really isn't Dark going into a lot of these lair first openings and the Spire plays. Because if he was doing a lot of those, then I could absolutely see this as being a world in which a possibility where he has a I can totally see this as being like a world in which we've got like a you know, Q being very afraid of going BC, but because he's going so many melee upgrade openings, maybe then the BC is just that little bit more effective, doesn't get shut down by the fast Spire. I could see that happening. I like it. Couple queens coming up as this factory building in the main base, a reactor on the way. Getting that up and running as we do see our Overlord of Dark down the right side. Reaper coming in. Ling's just taking a little bit of damage. These couple of drones being picked away at for the moment as Kua comes back around. He is taking a second gas, so he's not going to go 3CC, which maybe keeps that possibility of a battlecruiser open. Of course, there's a few other things you can do with double gas. It's not guaranteed to be something like that. Is I feel like Kua maybe could have got that creep tumor there. Instead, he chooses to go for a Zergling kill. Dark goes Overlord speed. So Dark goes Overlord speed before Ling speed. He really wants to make sure he knows exactly what's going on in this 5th game. Rax moves to Tech Lab near the starport. It's definitely a starport in Tech Lab. Are we really just going to see BCs to close this out? That'd be kind of crazy after not having BCs for like 8 games in a row. Which is kind of nice as well. I feel like BCs do get mixed in a lot in like best of 5s and stuff, so yeah. Interesting that Kyo didn't really do it at all until perhaps now, and even then it is still just perhaps. The thing is about this is if it's a BC, usually you would build this tech lab with the starport and you'd build an extra marine out the racks. I think it's just Banshees, yeah. I realized it's a little bit late what I was saying, but actually it's it definitely looks like Banshees earlier because there's no need to build the tech lab with the barracks, so you can actually get an extra marine out to help deny scouting. If this was not Overlord speed, for example, you could have 2 Marines already, and then that Overlord maybe doesn't get in. So yeah, actually I don't... Yeah, so yeah, I guess it was never going to be BCs. Oh, yeah. Alright, well, Overlord gets in, gets a good scout off, as we'll see Hellions and a Reaper into the... well, he's going to actually get to the 3rd base, and a Spore Crawler is forced to build. Now he's going to turn to the natural. No, hey, there's still no Ling speed from Dark. Oh no, these Hellions, they're past the Queens. They're obviously going to pick off most of these Lings here. There's 1 Queen in the main. But we're still on 4 Hellions. We're still on 1-shot potential for drones. And there's the first 2 dropping down. Oh my god, and all the Lings are dead as well. Obviously, the drones pull away. That's already a massive amount of manning time lost. But now 2 more Hellions are going to show up into the natural. Tries to reach from the high ground as the Queen is kind of holding the gateway onto the main. Yeah, the Hellions in the natural are going to be getting for a couple kills. 6 drones in total. I think it's important to look at the Ling kills too. 14. And still no Ling speed, by the way, as well. Whoa, these drones can still be killed. Gets 1 more to make it 9 eventually. Now a Banshee is here, but there are Spore Crawlers up in at least the 3rd base. Oh my god, there's no Spore in the natural expansion, but Dark is getting a little bit lucky because Q maybe hasn't realized it. Sat with his Banshee for a moment or 2. Did he realize there was no Spore Crawler in the natural? Seems like he didn't, otherwise he'd be on his way there. Instead, he's just going to stop to pick off creep tumors. He's going to, when he gets here and sees the Spores and done building, he might be kicking himself just a little bit. He actually might not even get that far forward. Because he's just going to sit here out of range of anything and just get guaranteed damage onto these Queens. He's still bringing Hellions across. There's still no Ling speed here from Dark. Oh no. You know what? I really feel like Dark fell apart in these last few games. And it's not over yet, but it really does feel as though he's just... Game after game, it's just been almost disaster after disaster. It's been a weird little while, hasn't it? From proxy racks turned into Reapers, which did too much, to... Yeah, I mean, in the last game, just a Banshee that showed up and did too much. To this game, just no Ling speed. Kind of feels like it's getting punished for it. It's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at the income graph. Look at when the drones had to pull away from the main. Considering the main has the most drones of any base at that stage of the game, boom. So much mining time lost, and now Q is going to power up into a 3CC 5-rack setup. And honestly, the first pushes from Q are going to be terrifying once again. It always is. If you deal damage early in the game, you're always going to get into some scary scenarios on the follow-up attacks from the Terran player. It's just the way these things play out, really. Banshees are gonna make their way around the top. We got an Overlord to the far left side. A couple of Banshees gonna come around. Fourth Hatcher in the front from Dark as well. Just trying to think what Dark can maybe do. I like that he's prioritized Bane speed. Definitely feels like he'll need that to help survive some of these follow-up pushes, maybe more so than the melee upgrades. So good to see Bane speed really not being slowed down on at all. Because Queen doesn't have support, so there's no transfusion available. So he trades a Banshee for Queen there. Looks like he's just going to trade this Banshee for a couple extra drones. Okay. Obviously just feels like the more drones he kills right now, the more power to his next attack is. Oh, whoa. Felt like that was meant to be a scan for creep tumors, but he doesn't quite find it. Maybe just didn't have the energy on the orbitals. Seems like it was not there. Yeah, okay, well, I mean, just wants to try and delay this creep spread whenever possible. Now Slings and Bane's gonna run forward. Banes obviously don't have speed just yet. He gets the active tumor, which is nice. Target fires a couple Banes and lifts up and gets out of there. Here doesn't want to stick around too long again. Wants to keep whatever he can around. Didn't see this Baneling drop coming, though, and nor did I. 11 workers down as Dark drops into the natural. Okay. Well, I mean, Dark had to get a little bit creative here to get back in this game, right? And that's one way to do it. 11 workers killed by a Bane drop. You wouldn't have found that just trying to wander Banes into the natural on the third base or anything. So I like that. Some damage done by Dark and maybe keeping the dream alive here. Although Marines with 1-1 pushing through. Creeper's being denied yet again. This is still going to be a problem position. There's a couple of Banes picked off right from the start here. These medevacs are going to leave out the right side. Two starts from Kira, so he's thinking about the future, but you know what? He's got 8 racks, so he's already just going to have so much production. I love the decision. Dog's going to play a Pureling Bane into that infestation bit again, similar to what he tried to do on Pillars of Gold. Apparently, this is his go-to when he's just a bit behind early. Maybe another drop lord can come in. We can see the Lings already heading over for that Bane drop as Tank setting up, and with 8 racks, there's going to be so many Marines in production. This is going to be hard to stop. Off the start that Kira's had, even after losing a few SCVs just then to the Bane drop, after the start Kira's had, he is just going to be really making life difficult for Dark. It's the same position we saw way back in game number 1. These tanks sieging on the front lines, really in a position to maybe push through. That's going to be seeing these Queens still fighting. Marines taking some damage. This drop just doesn't get set up. I mean, Dark's putting all of his money and all of his attention to this, but he's actually heavily supply blocked. That ain't pretty. I mean, it was already bad for Dark. Now you're supply blocked on top of it, and it's only going to get even worse. Bane's morph in on the right-hand side. The Zerglings are going to sit there as well. Marines pushing through. There you go. Lings from the right, Bane's from the left. He does get the full surround. And that's just how much Terran there is. Full surround. He doesn't even split away from the Banes. He just overpowers them. He can just target them all down in time. And, well, even when a few crashed in, it just didn't really do enough. And Cure from 2-4 down is going to turn it all the way around to a 5-4 victory, huh? Wow, what a series, though. Really going the distance. Some really cool games. A really good mix of builds from both sides as well. Another attempt from Dark here. Banes from the left and right. I mean, he's taking fantastic fights, and if Kira wasn't so far ahead, Dark would probably be absolutely crushing this game. But that lead from earlier is something that Kira can rely on, fall back to, and keep on pushing in with. He did just take 9 SCVs of damage to the Dropper Lord again, Wardy not being the hottest observer in the world right now. As that Overlord does a bit of damage, backs away. But the Marines coming through, a couple of creep teamers going down, the Bane's still being picked away at. He's going to be seeing these other Lings getting picked off too. Queen's trying to come in. As the Marines are going to go for the Baneling Nest. Doesn't quite get there. The Bane's still showing up. Just going to be seeing the other Marines backing away. And we've got more of this army. Marines and tanks down through the center of the map. The Baneling Nest gets picked off. I'm just going to be seeing another few Banes from the top side. Wanting to run into this. Tanks are going to siege. Banes still taking some chunky damage. That's a pretty big deal. A lot of damage done to those Banelings that we do see. Still a bit more Ling Bane wanting to run into this here. Marines are going to pull back, looking to be in a good position. Picking off Banes yet again. And Kua will just keep pushing through to victory. GG is called, and Kua takes it 5-4 and wraps up a rather epic best of 9. We had some shorter games, we had some longer games. There was a lot of Bio, a lot of Lingbane, some Roach Styles. What a fun series. It really had a bit of everything for, from a TVZ point of view especially. And Kua comes out on top, making the comeback happen. What a fun matchup. GG, great best of 9.